Hey everybody, and welcome to the Grinds tutorial series. For some reason, I think I'm qualified to tell you these things, but to be blatantly honest with you, I am going to suggest that this is some fun things that I've discovered I can do, and I've also learned from a lot of really great people. So, what I'm going to suggest is you can try these things in creative mode like I'm about to do right here, just because it would be mighty convenient to show them off in an area where I'm not going to get ambushed, and it's a little bit more challenging to do it during the game. But we're going to call this our 7 minutes to survive series of random tutorials, which are actually hopefully kind of fun and exciting, and I'm really thrilled to do them. But that being said, let's jump into it here. And if you like this, let me know in the comments, because I'd love to do more of them, stuff that I've learned, figured out, what have you. So this first 7 minutes to survive video is going to be a tutorial on how to build a Toothy, because it's almost like I looked up videos on this and I found they do exist, and you can see this is how you build a Toothy, and they're great, and I do appreciate the videos. However, I think that there's a couple of different variants. I'm going to do a basic one. I'm going to do a horizontal pole version, which I think we could say was introduced in Alpha 16, and then I'm going to do an alternative variant. We'll do a brief explanation of each, and then we'll leave it there. Here's what we got to do. First and foremost, you need to determine how big you want this to be. I like to have a 7x7 platform, just so that we can go around. Now, I mean 7x7 on the inside, so it's actually going to be 9x9, one block out on either side, which is what we're going to do right here. Now, starting with the first thing, if you're on a relatively flat surface, we're going to dig around and then place some flat blocks down just to give us a good base to build off of. Yes, I made an auger. Alright, so we've got our 9x9 square going around the bottom, and we can use this as our initial platform. So I just spawned myself in a bunch of these reinforced concrete blocks just so we can get the gist of what we're doing here. But I'm going to go around this circle here, or, well, I guess you call it a square, and a 9x9 square, and throw down our concrete blocks. The first variant of the Toothy Tower that we're going to go through is going to be it's called the old school version of it. Now I like to use I like to use the poles that are on the outside, not the centered poles. The centered poles are always a bit more challenging, because you end up leaving a gap that you can't really fill. But making it clean, not floating, and everything level and attached, putting them on the inside like yay, will get you started with this base. What you're really going to do is get everything here, and then you can either nerd pull up here. I like to go 3 high, but that's just me. So there we have it. Now this is our 3 high. We can start building stacked up on top of the top there. That would be our second level. That could be crafting room. That could just be the roof. Doesn't really matter, but this is the top of our area here. Now, going forward from that, there's 2 different ways you can handle this. Now, way the first. This I like. I think it looks clean. It looks crisp. It's easy to understand it, but it isn't absolutely necessary. I just like the way it looks from the outside. But you can go and do wedge tips at the bottom. Now this is essentially where your absolute bottom level is that keeps zombies out. Now it does force them to crawl up it, so if you're crouched down in here, it's easy to get them in the face. The second thing that we're going to attempt to do, we are going to be putting these guys across here. Having these here introduces a whole other block that the zombies have to get up, even though you can easily jump over it because it's only a tiny little pole. Zombie pathing doesn't work that way. It's got to be 1 block high, no higher. Now going forward, what we need to do is to create something you can get in and out of. Alright, so there's no making of the centered concrete, at least not in vanilla, but these can be made out of flagstone and easily upgraded. A little bit more resource intensive, of course, but you can keep this pattern if you like. Now, personally, this is a favorite of mine for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's easy to make. You don't have to get super fancy with the cheese whiz as far as placing your blocks down goes. But if you want to, or excuse me, not if you want to. You pretty much need to be putting a roof on this, otherwise you are going to get stuck. You are going to, end up getting either birds in here or spiders are going to come in. I mean, you don't have to fill it in right away, but it is going to have to get done at some point. This roof at the top, you will then have a nice area that would be your wall. Best part about this is from in here, you can jump in and jump out, or flip that. So you do have access to and from your base, but zombies won't be able to get in. All right, now method number 2, which to be honest I think is a little bit more common. People like to use method number 2, or at least that's what I see a lot more commonly in Alpha 16 Let's Plays and whatnot, are this pattern where you have all of your first row horizontal. Now, again, we did talk about zombies need a whole block to get up. They also need a whole block to get under too. So this does block the crawlers. Now, with the crawlers blocked, and that will come into play a part very, very shortly, with the crawlers blocked, you then have the ability to make sure nobody's going to get in underneath, when their legs come off because you shot them off. And when you place this here, which would be variant number 2, they now can't get in this way, and they can't get over. However, and this is important, neither can you. So if you surround your base with this, you'll be stuck inside, and there really isn't any way that you can get out. Now, variant number 3, which I've seen, and I got to give credit where it's due, but I've seen in a Z Nation FFS video, which I thought was a pretty classic design, was to do this, where you have a row of these along the bottom, which handily and tidily will prevent crawlers from getting through. And then coming back over here, a row of these along the top of the second block up. Here's the deal with this. This is great because so long as a zombie is walking at you, he'll just hit this and keep trying to walk against it, and he'll swing and he'll hit the top one or possibly even the bottom one, but he can't get through. Again, crawlers need a whole block to crawl through. Since you've got that little block there, that one pole, they're going to crawl, bash against it, and never be able to get through. But you can crawl in and out, so you have access in and out of your base. I will say this, dogs can walk right in. Now we're going to get to the third variant, my personal favorite. Again, giving a little credit where credit's due, it took me a little bit to put this together, but I got this from a Z Nation FFS video. We're going to kind of do a little bit something like this. Variant number 2, the Alpha 16 version of the Toothy Tower, or the horizontal bar defense. And we're going to take it a little step further. Alrighty, now, on this side what we're going to do is we're going to build the arch entrance, the arch pathway, the entrance I like personally the most. If I could stop rotating past where it needs to be, we'd be way better off. And 1. Okay. Now with this, you're going to essentially do that. Nope, sorry. That. You're going to do this entrance with the archway entrance, except a little different. Not by too much, but just a little bit. So once you place these 2 blocks, just like you would in the corners over there, we're going to stop placing poles. From here forward, we're actually going to start placing concrete, or, well, whatever block you choose to make this out of, blocks like ya. Now, same goes on this side. Perfecto. Now, alright, that's perfect. So, you want to make them at least as tall as the roof of your building is going to be. Now, from here forward, we're actually going to need the arches. Once the arches are done, I think that's a pretty attractive, 3x1 doorway. Now, how are we going to keep the zombies out? Build a door? No. Again, zombies are attracted to doors, so it's a bit of a challenge. I mean, hey, if you want them attracted to a door, build a door. But you don't have to with this. We're going to throw one solid square block down in the middle, which is going to give us space here where zombies won't crawl in, and a space here where zombies won't crawl in. But can they not just jump over? Absolutely they can, which is what we're going to stop right now. Now the only concern I've ever had brought to me with this is I find it does get a little cattywampus from the front because you can't keep that pole level with that pole. Now, once you've got that pole in, you're going to do essentially exactly the same thing on this side as you do everywhere else. Perfect. So now the horizontal poles are placed in a way that the zombies can't get in, can't crawl through, can't jump over, and have to break their way in, which for all intents and purposes is ideal. I also like the whole archway, it looks pretty attractive. I do find though it does tend to make your building about a block higher, and yes, you absolutely need those two spaces there, and I'll show you why in a second. How do we get in? Getting in is an important part. I mean, you can't be stuck outside of your horde base and then have to jump in, because that's just a recipe for disaster. So, remember how zombies can't jump in unless they've got a singular block high? Well, that's where these horizontal poles on the outside come in. They're going to give us a place, because we can jump slightly higher than a block, to jump up and stand on. And then, if you crouch jump, you can jump right in. Why do you have to crouch jump? Well, once we put the roof on, you'll see. Alright, up top now. Say we're going to throw on the roof. We don't want that block covered, because then we won't be able to jump in. So at this point, this is why the archway kind of makes your building about a block taller than you might have predicted. So if you want it 4 high, you're going to have to make it 5 high just to accommodate the roof of the archway. But that's a mighty sexy entrance, I think. So, proof of concept time? Proof of concept time. Alrighty, so, first and foremost, let's test good old faithful. We'll spawn a, I don't know, zombie skateboarder. There we go. Spawn them right on top of each other. Miss them. Now reload. And watch. They will get here. They will wail happily on this base. And other than, obviously needing to repair some concrete, which, I mean, hey, they're giving it a run for its money, but would take them an awful long time to get through, that's for sure. Now, let's try the Toothy variant. Let's go with a couple of these guys. Now, the football player should or ought to run at us. Oh yeah, I forgot, I spawned all ferals. Good job. So, in any case, they start hauling butt, and they don't ever make it in. But they're going to do an awful lot of damage to our concrete. Alright, calm down, Marlene. Oh. Perfect. Now, let's try this again over here. We will spawn a zombie Arlene, and she will make it to us. No, over this way. And as much as she tries, she just wails on the wall as always. Perfect. Now that her leg's off, despite the fact that she's got more than enough room to get through, she will just continuously keep crawling against that pole and never ever make it. For our last proof of concept, we're going to spawn in a zombie dog. We're going to spawn him in on the outside of this uppy downy wall, and we'll stay here long enough for him to catch scent of us and start heading in that direction. And the only downside is despite the cheapness of creating this and the ease of getting in and out on this side, it is vulnerable to dogs. Hey. You got it. Right in, no problems. Alright, so for the final test, let's spawn somebody on the other side of this wall and make sure that we are safe and secure. And here comes Darlene. Oh, she's not making squat. I'd love to take off one of her legs here. Come on, Darlene, you can do it. There we go. Now, despite the fact that she can't hit this block and damage it, she's not getting in. Test confirmed. Proof of concept. The Toothy Tower and its variants are great. They work. I like them.